15 years. It feels like a lifetime ago and yesterday all at once. At only 16 years, I came to San Francisco. I spent a high school year in Wisconsin and spent spring break in San Francisco.
I remember standing not too far away from this place here, overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge and completely falling in love with the city. Back then I made a promise to myself that someday I would definitely come back, and I even thought about moving here.
Well, I'm finally back, and if I'm being honest, I'm a little nervous. A lot can change in 15 years. I've changed, and from everything I've heard, San Francisco has changed a lot. So the big question I'm here to answer is the city I fell in love with still here?
We've arrived in San Francisco yesterday already, but it was already dark, so we didn't really see anything of the city and got our first real impression this morning. And to be honest, that one wasn't that great because we left our hotel, which is located close to Union Square, so very central. And we left it, we walked like 5 minutes to the bus station, and then it was like 2 blocks away from our hotel, and we already saw pretty much everything that made up the headlines of San Francisco in the past years. It's a bit hard to see and nothing you want to see as the first thing of a place that you have just recently arrived to. However, it feels way better here. We are in the waterfront of San Francisco now and it looks normal. It is quite touristic. There are lots of people here. I have a better feeling now. I believe we can find some really nice places in San Francisco now.
So with my maps and memories ready to go, you have to start where it all began, right?
Pier 39 is definitely a great way to start this video and also a great way to start a San Francisco trip in general. I loved the energy of this place and everything you can find here back then when I came here first, and I still see it the way I remember it, which makes me very happy because this was one of my favorite places back then. It smells like a lot of food here. You can find a lot of different kinds of foods here. There's a lot of things to explore, a lot of fun things to see, and there are still the sea lions over there that are sunbathing as if they would own the place. So I just had to order a sourdough bowl. Look at how huge it is. I remember that I have always been impressed by the sizes of the dishes here in the United States. It is like much bigger than my hand and it smells so good. There's like soup inside. It cost me $11 and a few cents. It smells delicious. I love it. The food hasn't changed. It is as delicious as I remember it. Very close to Pier 39 there's also Pier 33, from which you can take the ferry to Alcatraz, the island that you can see there behind me. It is probably the world's most famous prison due to impressive escape stories. However, this will not be part of this video. I've done this tour, it was absolutely amazing and it is so much worth to do, but it also deserves its own video. So make sure to subscribe to the channel to not miss out on that one. I will publish it next week. For now, I want to explore some more places of San Francisco that I have very clearly in my head. I want to do that before we actually dive into the headlines about San Francisco, because to be honest, to read these very negative things about a city that I once fell in love with kind of hurts a bit. And I just want to see if I can keep up this tourist bubble of the perfect San Francisco a little bit longer.
Some things, the big iconic things, feel permanent. They are the anchors of the city's identity. The Golden Gate Bridge still bursts majestically from the fog, and the cable cars still conquer these impossible hills.
This road here behind me is completely wild. This is Lombard Street, and I remember that back then I thought that I would never ever drive my car down a road like this. It is super tiny, very curvy, there is not a lot of space and it is so inclined. And well, to be honest, I would still avoid at all costs to have to drive a car down there. So some things never change, but what definitely has changed over the years is how I travel nowadays. Back then, I remember that staying connected was as important as today, but it meant that we needed to receive phone calls or text messages. Today, we get nervous if we lose internet signal. For me, this is extremely important while traveling, since I always need to look up spots. I need to use Google, for example, a translator sometimes. So internet is something I use all the time. And since it is so important to me, I always choose the Olafly eSIMs. Olafly partners with the best local internet providers, and because of that, they offer you the best internet connection possible in over 200 destinations. And they also have regional eSIMs, which are perfect if you're doing a multi-country trip, as you will never lose internet connection, not even when you are crossing borders. And what is also super cool is that Olafly now is the very first international internet provider. They provide Olafly plans with which you can travel the world with only one single eSIM. No SIM card swapping anymore, you will always have internet in over 170 countries. No matter which eSIM you choose, you can be sure to always have reliable internet and the best internet connection possible. No more SIM card swapping, no hidden cost, and you will feel safer the moment you arrive, as it is really just one click and you will already have internet the moment you land. And don't worry about the installation process, because trust me, it is super easy. It takes less than 5 minutes. And Olafly also provides you with very detailed and easy to understand instructions to install your eSIM. So if you're interested in an Olafly eSIM, I have great news now, because you can click the link in the description below to get a discount on your next eSIM purchase. Or you can also keep in mind my code AVENTURALINA. That will also give you a discount on your next eSIM purchase. We will check how to get to our next destination now and continue this tour.
The beauty of San Francisco is undeniable. While some things remain as beautiful as ever, others have definitely changed. Not all of them, though, were negative.
We just ordered a Waymo. This is the very first time I'm taking a completely autonomous taxi that does not have a driver. These things definitely didn't exist the first time I came here, and I think that's a good change. Oh, how this works. Look at this. There's no one in there.
Good morning, Alina.
It just said, "Good morning, Alina." It knows my name. How creepy. This is so weird, but I like it. Get in the car. Look, I can say start the ride. We gotta buckle up. I don't know how safe this
Hello
is.
from Waymo.
Hello,
As we get
Waymo.
going, just give us 1 minute to cover a few riding tips. This experience may feel futuristic.
Oh, it
The need
does.
to buckle up is a ride.
This is kind of creepy.
You may use interior
But look at
cameras.
this car.
Check
It's
on
a
riders,
Jaguar.
improve our
Super
products, and
fancy
more.
car
Our
with
microphones
new
are only
technology.
on when you're connected
I
to
like
provider
it.
support.
It's
Sing your
weird
heart
though
out.
to see the
We can't
wheel
hear you.
moving and
You
everything.
can also use the app for passenger
But it's
screen.
cool. Great
This provider
experience.
support-
The cars have sensors everywhere. Like you can see them here, for example. They have one on the roof as well. Everywhere, lots of sensors that make these rides safe. And there's another Waymo. As I said, they are everywhere here in the city. It's kind of crazy. A 10-minute ride will cost us like
In the rare
$14,
case of emergency,
which is also
please
completely
keep
fine.
your
I
seatbelt
expected it to be
fastened
way
and
more
remain
expensive, to be
in the
honest.
car. Unless there's a
While I'm glad that there is still a lot of beauty in the city, new things to explore, and a lot of visible positive changes, it is now time to face a completely different reality of San Francisco.
This here behind me is Union Square. It's a square that is extremely alive. There are lots of Christmas decorations now because we are here just a little bit before Christmas. There are a lot of luxury stores here. Tiffany & Co. is over there. And then in the surroundings we have a lot of other very expensive stores. And there are quite a few people here. However, in this area here, it is part of the financial district, and there has been a decline of stores here in this area. Lots of offices that shut down in the past years, and a crime rate that was increasing. Just a few blocks away from this district here, there is the Tenderloin. We are going there right now in a little bit. The Tenderloin is what I've seen early this morning already. This place here is a huge contrast to what is just a few blocks away from here. And it is also a symbol for the huge housing crisis here in San Francisco. Prices have increased a lot, and San Francisco became one of the most expensive cities on earth. The home ownership rate here in San Francisco is notoriously low, especially compared to other areas of the country. Poverty is increasing, and it is the same problem as in many cities around the world. In a lot of big cities this is happening, however here it is quite extreme. A lot of people simply weren't able to pay housing anymore in San Francisco. A lot of people even had to leave because of that.
Walk 2 minutes away from Union Square and you will face San Francisco's biggest problems.
So we just walked a little bit through the Tenderloin, and I didn't want to film there, at least not like this. it calls a lot of attention and I didn't feel that comfortable doing so. I was able to film there a little bit though, for you to get the idea of what the Tenderloin is today. It is kind of crazy. Like if you turn around here, you can see buildings that actually look amazing. Normal buildings that is a huge contrast to what I've seen just now. Because on this side here, there is a street that leads straight into the Tenderloin. It is one of those streets where you will see a lot of people completely drugged, you will see a lot of homeless and basically all of the problems of the city of San Francisco. It is heartbreaking to see that and also hard to process. It is so much more intense than I had imagined it to be. There were so many people like literally taking drugs right in front of me, injecting themselves. To understand how central the Tenderloin really is, this here is a decorated cable car and there are lots of tourists lining up, people enjoying their Christmas shoppings, and just there is a person drugging itself, and just down this street, this is where the Tenderloin already starts. Normal daily life happens side by side with people living in extreme poverty. The housing crisis hit San Francisco hard. A lot of people ended up on the streets. And for a lot of people, drugs were kind of the way to forget about their problems, I guess. One of the biggest problems of the Tenderloin is the fentanyl crisis that hit the United States extremely hard. You will see that in various cities, actually. Fentanyl is a man-made drug, basically. It is usually used for medical reasons. It is a very strong opioid, or actually so much stronger than morphine, for example, and it causes people to lose all of their senses. Here on the streets of the Tenderloin, it is abused as a drug. It is a cheap drug to get and usually smuggled into the country from either Mexico or China, and it is causing a lot of problems here, a lot of visible problems. It is absolutely impossible to enter the Tenderloin right now and not see these problems. Anyway, it is heartbreaking to see. It is hard to understand this extreme contrast between those two sides. And yeah, that is what San Francisco is also today in 2025. I felt like it is a very important part to visit it because you cannot do a video about San Francisco without showing this part as well. As in every place on earth, there aren't only positive sides, there are both negative and positive sides, and I wanted to show the problems as well, especially because most tourists will probably end up here in this area, which is pretty central. Back home in Germany, I told some people that I was coming here to San Francisco, and there was one stewardess that had to comment on it, and she was like, she always hates when she has to fly to San Francisco because her hotel is located in the center near the Tenderloin, and she said that she just never leaves the hotel because she believes the city is so ugly. But honestly, I believe this is extremely stupid to say and also to do for several reasons. First of all, the Tenderloin is a small part. There are people living there on the streets. However, I believe it is completely wrong to just close your eyes, look the other way and pretend that these things don't exist in our world. Instead of looking away, we should actually try to find solutions for it. Second of all, these people are human beings just like you and me. They won't do you any harm as long as you do not misbehave. Just pass by them and that's it. They won't harm you in any kind of way. They will just ignore you. And then lastly, San Francisco is so much more than just the Tenderloin. There are so many beautiful places here in the city. It is a wonderful city. I believe those that have enough money to actually be able to live here can have an amazing life, because I think the quality of life here is extremely big. The city itself offers so many things to do. It is beautiful. There are so many calm and beautiful districts. We are actually here in the Golden Gate Park, a park that is, by the way, bigger than the Central Park in New York. And it is a stunning park. It is a peaceful place. The neighborhoods here in the surrounding areas are beautiful as well. The people are so kind, always smiling. They are very welcoming, supportive, helpful. Like, there are so many beautiful things here about the city. If you want to live here or not, that's up to you, of course. But as a tourist, I think it is definitely worth it to come here. We are on the Twin Peaks, and I believe this is the most spectacular view over San Francisco. I thought this back then when I came here the very first time, and I still think that way. It is super windy here, as you might notice, but the views are amazing. We can see downtown, we can see all the way to Alcatraz. We cannot see the Golden Gate Bridge though, it is hiding behind the clouds. In any case, it is worth it, even though there is clouds and a bit of fog here today. And also, I believe this view is perfect to summarize my thoughts of San Francisco. In general, the city stays as beautiful as ever. I still believe this is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen, and the most beautiful city I've seen so far in the United States. However, it has changed. I have changed, the city has changed. There definitely are problems here in the city that cannot be denied. In general, this was an amazing start for my trip through the US. And I'm very excited for everything that is yet to come. It was a very emotional start, to be honest. Being back here in San Francisco felt emotional, but in general, being back in the United States after 15 years, there are so many things that I am so grateful for here in this country. I've learned a lot of things. I was here for 1 entire year, going to high school back then in Wisconsin, and I changed a lot during that time. I learned so many things about life, about myself. I grew a lot. I learned English here, and it was definitely the beginning of my travel passion that I have until today. So there are so many memories, so many things I feel grateful for, and it just feels amazing to be back here in the United States.
So as I stand here with the sun setting behind the Golden Gate Bridge, I have to answer my own question. Is the city I fell in love with still here? The answer is yes and no. The postcard San Francisco is still here. The bridge, the bay, the parks. That beauty is timeless and as stunning as ever. But the city itself has grown up. It's gotten a lot more complicated. It's more expensive, more unequal, and more challenging than the idealized version I kept in my memory for 15 years. The dream has changed. It's not about moving here anymore. It's about appreciating San Francisco for what it truly is. Not a perfect fantasy, but a real, resilient, and still breathtaking city. And it's a place that will always have a piece of my heart.